Hey guys, so I just wanted to welcome you to our call tonight. It's about reaching out authentically and how to cold message. We are recording this, so for those of you hopping on later, I'm glad you could take a listen a little bit later. Just a little bit about my background when it comes to cold messaging. I am in Plexus. I've been in Plexus now for, I will hit my 2-year Plexiversary January 1st, so almost 2 years. And I want to be really honest with you. Cold messaging is something that I haven't done consistently over my 2 years. I've done it here and there. I've reached out to people, but I haven't been really bold about the business and the products as much because I think it was just a little scary for me. But it's something that I have really done some research on and have really pushed myself to do over the past 3-4 months. And I now wish that I had, I wish I knew now what I knew, or I wish I knew then what I know now about cold messaging, because now that I know how to use it a little bit more effectively, it's really changed my business. And so the things that I'm sharing tonight with you are ideas and tips from others, Jules or YouTube videos that I've watched. These aren't things I've come up with. However, they really worked for me. One of the big things I think for me was just the whole comfort zone issue and having to push myself outside of that. I'm an introvert, and having to do this was a little bit scary for me. However, I've learned that you can't just sit back and wait for people to approach you about Plexus. You'll be waiting forever. And so when you cold message, that is one way to get out of your comfort zone. And so I encourage you, if you're not doing this, to start trying to do it daily so that you can, it's a comfortable thing. It doesn't have to be scary. But I truly believe that success lies in cold messaging. Cold messaging results in the start of new conversations. It can result in you getting samples sent out. It can even result in the follow-up with someone. And, it's something I've had to come to terms with. If I want to be successful and I want to go all the way to the top with Plexus, then I'm going to have to get over my fears and I'm going to have to cold message. It is one thing that every single Jewel you see does. It's that whole thing. If I want to be successful, I'm going to have to do things that make me uncomfortable and get me out of that comfort zone. So you are not alone. If cold messaging is something that makes you a little nervous, you are not alone. I feel the same way. I'm a little bit more over it than I used to be, but not 100%. But I think the more you do it, the more it becomes a little bit more comfortable for you. So hang on a second. All right, so if you're not familiar with cold messaging, and I've got notes, so if you see me look down, I don't know if you can see me, but if you see me look down, I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget something. But if you're not familiar with what cold messaging is, it's just reaching out to people who haven't expressly stated that they're interested in what you're doing or what you're sharing. So it's basically reaching out to people who haven't told you they're interested in Plexus. That's what cold messaging is you're reaching out to them first. So one fun fact before I kind of give some of my tips and things about cold messaging, you might know this, you might not, but I don't know how many of you are familiar with Eric Worre, but he is the author of GoPro. Amazing book. If you don't have it, I highly suggest it. It's great to read to work your network marketing business. But he has a video on YouTube called How to Recruit 20 People in 30 Days. And one statistic that he shares is that when you reach out to people, 8 out of 10 people will not be interested. And that's just a cold, hard statistic. And so let's say you're reaching out to 10 people each week, like Monday through Friday, you're, cold messaging 2 people every day. Then you need to expect that, your 8 of those people are not going to respond back. It's that whole thing where you send the cold message and you see that they read it on Facebook, but they don't respond. It's that crickets. Or they give you a no. You have to, I just want you to know that is, to not feel bad, that's the norm. And that's why they call it a numbers game. That's why they really encourage you to reach out to as many people as you can, because the majority of the people are going to not be interested. And so it's just a numbers game. I will, however, say if you are consistently cold messaging people, and getting no response, like it's all crickets, it's not anyone having a conversation back, or, no one's giving you a no, then you need to reach out to your upline so that they can kind of see what you're sending over, because it might be something, your verbiage or the length or something that's turning people off, or it maybe feels salesy. So I will say, know that 8 out of 10 are not going to be interested, but if you just hear crickets all the time and no one's responding with a no or a yes, then reach out to your upline, because there might be something you need to fix when it comes to your cold messaging. So just some of my tips for cold messaging. I think this is probably the biggest one, but know that the purpose of your initial contact is to open the door. And so it's called kind of the invitation rather than a presentation. We want to invite people to open up that conversation rather than kind of sending them a presentation. When I send a cold message, I am trying to open up conversation. I'm telling them, I think you're going to be amazing at this business. Here's why I think you'd be amazing at the business. Have you ever given it any thought? And I'm just inviting them to kind of think through, have I ever thought about Plexus? Or I've never heard about Plexus. Maybe what is it? Rather than sending them, this long message about the comp plan, how great it is, and the products, and just telling them everything, just inviting them to kind of think about, have you thought about the business before? And I'll be honest, an invitation approach makes me feel more comfortable too. I'll be honest, when I first started 2 years ago and I did cold messaging, it was a lot more about the presentation, sending over information about the products or the business and all. And it just made me feel uncomfortable because it made me feel salesy. And so I like the invitation approach to cold messaging because I don't feel salesy. I'm being genuine with the person. And it just makes me feel comfortable. So the other thing is that your length in your cold message, that initial contact, your length is an indicator of pitching or just door opening. And what we want to do when we cold message is we want to be door opening. We don't want people to feel pitched to. And one way you can tell if you're pitching something rather than just opening the door is look at your message. If someone has to scroll through your cold message, then it's probably going to come across salesy and people are probably going to ignore it. So I tell people a short, concise 3 to 4 sentence initial contact is what you want to go with. And, I've had someone this past spring who she works with another MLM, and she sent me a long message and it felt like a pitch. And I did glance through it and I did respond back to her because we all know how it feels when someone doesn't respond back. But it just felt salesy and it was not genuine. So just know that your length is an indicator of if you're pitching something or if you're just trying to open the door to start conversation. And I think the other thing is sometimes with length is we feel like we have these long paragraphs because we feel like we have this one shot to tell them everything before they tell us no. And honestly, we don't want to blast everything we know in one message. It's that whole idea of a little information to a lot of people in my network. I want to send a little bit of information to many people through a cold message. And then lastly, I just feel like if you are just trying to invite someone to think about the business, you're making yourself a safe person because you're genuinely telling them why you think they would be amazing. And everyone wants to, feel like someone's being genuine with them and honest with them. And it makes them more, I think it's going to make them more likely to respond back to your invitation. So the next thing is, and this is something I really learned over the past couple of months, is to lead with the business opportunity and your belief. And this is something huge that I never really thought of, but it's something like I wish I knew then what I know now kind of thing. But when you lead with the business opportunity, it's going to give you leverage. And let me tell you why. When you lead with just the products, you're doing yourself a disservice, because what happens when someone says, or you say, have you ever thought about trying the products? And someone says no. Well, the only thing you can really fall back on with the products is referrals. Like, okay, well, if it's not for you, will you keep in mind anyone that might need them or needs the business? And pretty much your conversation's done. But when you lead with the business, it allows you to fall back on the products. Because if someone tells you, no, I don't want to work the business right now, or no, I don't want to work the business, or no, I don't know much about the business, then what you can do is it opens up the line for other communication. If the business isn't for them, then it opens up the door for conversation about the products. So for me, personally, since I've been leading with the business for the past couple of months, there's been a lot of things I've really learned. And I've had probably 3 girls who I cold messaged about just the business. And one of them said, I actually have thought about it, but I want to try the products first. One said, I've thought about it, but I'm just too busy right now. And then one had never heard of it. But you guys, I just think if I would have led with the products, I would have never had known that these people were interested in maybe some point working the business. So while it was a no on the business end, it kind of gave me I'm going to end up following up with them later on down the road because there's a good chance they do want to work it. But then it also opens up the door for me to tell them, I totally understand that it's not the right timing at this moment because you're super busy. But then I open the door and say, I'd love to send you over a sample if you're interested in just giving the products a try for now. Would that be okay with you? And y'all, I haven't had one person who I've cold messaged who I've asked if they want a sample who has told me no. And it's really opened up some great lines of follow-up. And people that I had no clue were health-minded are loving the products now. So I just like that if you lead with the business and they tell you no, you still have the products to fall back on. You still have that, I want to send you a sample to fall back on. And that should be able to get out samples and start following up. And one other thing that I really started to do when I cold message, especially that initial contact, that first contact, is I try to add my belief into that cold message. And so what I'll do is I'll type out the message and I'll send it over. But then I'm going to get on my voice message on Facebook or on my phone. And then one thing that I really like to do after I send that short 3 to 4 sentences is I get on my voice message and I say, because I truly believe this, I believe in what this company has done to bless my family, and I would love to see it bless you too. And I like to do it on voice message because I think people can hear your passion. They can hear your belief. And it's just, when they hear that, I feel like they understand you're coming from an honest, genuine place. So that's also something I like to put into my cold messages is just my belief, because y'all, this business has done so much. It's allowing me to stay at home. It's allowing me to still work and provide an income for my family. And if I don't, I know that the people in my network right now are young moms and moms that want to stay at home. And if I don't lead with some belief when I cold message, then I'm doing, again, a disservice to myself. So lead with the business, because I know a lot of times people say, should I lead with the business or should I lead with the products? And it depends on the person. Y'all, I say from this point on, lead with the business, because it allows you to, again, gives you leverage to fall back on the products and to get a sample out. The next thing is just be confident. I want you to avoid apologetic phrases and be vulnerable but not apologetic. So one of the words, and I am so guilty of this and I'm trying so hard to be better at it, is using the word just. I just wondered if I could share more. Or I just wondered if you've thought about the business. When we say the word just, it kind of sounds like we're apologizing for talking to them about the business or why we think they'd be great at the business. So instead of saying just say, I wondered if I could share more. And I'm still having to catch myself when I type out a cold message that I'm still using the word just, and I'm having to go back and delete it. But avoid that apologetic phrase. We want to be vulnerable but not apologetic. So I'm going to read off some of the scripts that I use. I'm going to put these on our team page, so you don't have to feel like you need to write them down. But I just wanted you to hear them from me, kind of the things that I say to people. Again, a script needs to be genuine and it needs to sound like you. So the things that I'm about to say, if they don't sound like something you'd say, then you need to tweak it before you send it out. And also, when I send out a cold message, I'm not just copy pasting, and you're going to see why in a second. But I really think about the person I'm sending the message to and what I need to change about it to fit that person better. Okay, so here are some of the things that I have said to people. And I'm just doing business, leading with the business. Okay, so, and I'm going to read off my thing so I don't mess it up. Hey, Catherine, for some reason, I've been scared about asking you this. Silly, I know, but the truth is I can't stop thinking about how amazing you would be with Plexus because of, and this is where you're going to put in your XYZ reason. This is why you have to know the person. So some examples that I have: because of how well connected you are, because I see you as an influential person, because I know helping people is important to you, or because I've seen how you build relationships with others. Whatever it is that you know, why you think they'd be amazing, that's where it gets personal. And then I just end with, would you mind sharing with me if you've ever thought about it? And that's it. That's 2 sentences. And I send it. And then sometimes I'll do the voice text about my belief. Another one I've done is for some reason I've been scared about asking you this. The truth is I see you as such an influential person, so your opinion matters a lot to me. So I guess that's why I've been hesitant. But anyways, I can't stop thinking about how amazing you would do with Plexus. Again, would you mind sharing with me if you've ever thought about it? And then the third one is sometimes we have people on our friends list, and this came from Andrea Mitchell, who's a diamond. But sometimes we have people on our list who we think would be amazing, but we really don't know them well enough to like tell them why they'd be amazing. So she uses this approach. Hey, Amanda, I know you must get approached about Plexus all the time because you would be absolutely perfect for it. But I wanted to throw this out there. When you are ready to make the jump with Plexus and give Plexus a shot, I hope that you'll come to me about it. And so right there, you're just trying to open up the lines of communication that when they are ready, that they're going to come to you because you want to help them. So really, those are the scripts that I use, but I'm always tweaking it to fit the certain person that I'm talking to and why I think they'd be amazing. And when you come across as genuine, people, again, I feel like are more likely to respond back. And one other thing about being confident that I didn't really learn until Leaders Retreat this year, when we got to listen to Amy Paul, is everyone has dream team members that you might have already asked them to join the business with you, or you might, or they've told you no, but you still think they would be amazing. I always thought if someone tells you no, or they ignore you and you really want them on your team, that you just kind of let them go. But that's totally wrong. You need to go after them. Don't give up on them and keep reaching out to them. She has a diamond on her team that I think it was almost 9 months to 12 months that she continued to follow up with her because she knew she'd be a rock star. And I think when she finally joined, she went diamond in less than a year. And so you just think about what would have happened if she would have just let her go. Like, she would have missed out on a gold mine. So for me, when I got back from Leaders Retreat, I went back through people that I have already reached out to who I still think would be amazing at the business, who I've already approached about the business, and they have most of them have ignored my messages. And so I send them out another message, and this is kind of what it sounds like. So just know that you can keep following up with people on your dream team list. If they give you a no or a no response, like, it doesn't mean like you're done. So for some of my friends from college that I just think would be amazing, who ignore or just aren't ready, I said, okay, I'm coming back to you. I'm fired up after our Leaders Retreat in Dallas. All I could think about while I was there was how I wanted you sitting next to me and how amazing you'd be at this business. I'd love to link arms and do this with our babies on our hips. I want to see this opportunity bless your family like it has blessed ours. Is this something you've given thought to, or is there something that may be holding you back? And so right there, I send that out to a couple people who I've already approached about the business months ago or a couple months ago. And some of them still ignore me because that's just the statistic. But I did have one who, you know, she was a little bit more open. She's starting a new job though, and it's just not the right timing, but at least she was a little bit more open. So just know that if there is someone who has not responded to you, or it's been months that you shared and you still feel that they would be amazing on your team, re-approach them and reach back out to them in another genuine way, because you just never know. And something else I've also had to learn is when we had those online events, I would send that scripted message over to people and they would not respond back to me, or maybe they did, and I felt like that was me cold messaging them, and that's so not cold messaging. So there are people that I've only ever invited to an event and they never responded back, or they did respond back and that's all we've ever talked Plexus, that I think, gosh, like I've missed an opportunity to share it with them. So I've gone back to those people as well and kind of cold message them leading with the business. So the last thing is just to keep your responses short. I know we all know this when it comes to messaging people in general, but you want to think of it as a tennis match, and you want to keep the ball going back and forth. And the way we do that is by asking questions, and I always end my message with a question. Again, we keep the responses short because we know that we don't have to blast everything we know in one message. And when we keep it short, I feel like people can read it quickly, they can respond quickly, and it's just easier than, again, having to scroll through. Because if you have to scroll through a lot of things, it's going to turn people off and they're probably going to ignore. So I think that's all. So again, and we'll share this on the team page, and I've got the document that's got kind of what tips and what I say to people, and I'll post that on our team page as well. But just know that the purpose of your initial contact is to open the door. Again, invitation over presentation. We want to always, always, always lead with the business and your belief, because it gives you leverage. I want you to be confident, avoid apologetic phrases, and reach out to those dream team members. And then keep your responses short. Keep that tennis match going by asking questions. So that's everything. I'm going to stop the share, and then I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to take questions. But thank you guys for getting on tonight, and I hope this was helpful.